Okay, hello everyone, and thank you for attending. We've got a great webinar today, and it's focused primarily on college sports, but it can apply to professional teams, high school teams, what have you. It's all very related and very similar. So I want to introduce you to our two hosts. One is myself. I'm Mark Fidelman, Managing Partner of Fanatics Media. The other is David Axler. He's Chief of Staff of Influitive. You've given yourself a political title, David.
Absolutely, absolutely. Got to have the mysterious title. And I mean, one of the areas that I'm focused on is corporate strategy and consumer advocacy. So I look at all the different industries that Influitive and advocate marketing can apply to in the B2C. And one of the areas that we're really excited about and why I'm so glad to be joined today is in sports and higher ed communities, and how do you get those engaging fans that already have lots of affinity towards your brand, your organization, to start taking lots more of those actions that are super valuable to you, whether it's attending events or getting other people to get on board with the movement behind your team. And in fact, when we were really starting Influitive, we looked at sports fans as really the engine behind how are we going to get other businesses, other types of companies, fans as engaged as the modern sports fan. And now we're really excited to start applying the lessons we've learned in other industries back to the sports arena, no pun intended. So really excited to join today to talk about this through.
Yeah, it's really great to have you. And at the end, David's going to give you a little bit of a taste of what we're going to talk about in the webinar today. So we are going to discuss next generation sports communities and why they're going to change the game. Again, though, actually that is a pun intended. And I always like to start off with kind of my own take on what's happening. I attended the University of San Francisco in the mid-90s, and at the time I was a huge fan of the school's sports, even though they had eliminated football. We got together at rallies, held offline events, fundraisers, contests. This was all offline. Remember, the internet was just kicking off. And the teams were very active in recruiting fans to its games directly. It was a very robust community of fans that supported the teams, and there was still a divide. Let's call it a divide between the athletic departments and its fans, but it was bridged by these offline events and posters around the campus and just general word of mouth amongst the students. And occasionally, and if you had an email account, they would send an update via email. You can imagine how sporadic that was, given probably 70% of the student body and maybe even less of the teachers and coaches had email at the time. But let's fast forward to today, 2006. The divide is a lot different for college sports. It's being bridged, but the bridge is owned by others, and many of them don't have your best interest in mind. They have their own best interests in mind. They want you to pay a toll to reach your fans. We've let our communications with fans be hijacked by these social networks, and I think that's a shame. But, we can take it back. I hate that this has happened to us. I hate it, and we're going to go into a little bit why I feel it's been hijacked. So let's take a look at my alma mater, University of San Francisco. I see Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and I do see email. Thank God they haven't given up on that yet. Which still remains one of the best mediums and isn't controlled by a third party. Email is the great equalizer. But I don't see a platform controlled by USF Athletics. So why hasn't that old community model that I talked about in 1996 that used to be offline now migrated online? What happened to that? There really isn't a community at USF. It's all been outsourced to Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And they don't really control their fans. Yes, they can communicate with their fans, but as you'll see, they don't really control what happens to those fans. Then I look south of San Francisco to Silicon Valley. Surely the most technically advanced school would have a sports community that they built or own, right? No, they don't. But they have Facebook, Twitter, and a bunch of social networks that you can follow. This is Stanford, if you didn't know. Then I checked Google to see if indeed there was a Stanford sports community. Surely there are places not controlled by the big social networks where a Stanford student or alum could go to connect with the teams and other Stanford fans. And sure enough, I did find a lot of them. There are communities strewn across the internet, but none have any official team representation that I could find. In fact, I saw a lot of unrepresented community managers with their own agendas directing Stanford fans to buy their stuff that they're selling, whether it's their own T-shirt or what have you, or to promote their own causes related to Stanford football or not. And it's not just football, it's any of the sports teams that Stanford has. So what about Facebook pages? I get this a lot. A lot of teams use Facebook to manage their community because, of course, almost everyone is on Facebook. But as you've probably heard, Facebook has changed the rules several times. And if you're a page owner, a fan page owner, you've seen your engagement drop precipitously. Worse, Facebook just announced that they're going to primarily show posts to friends and family. So not only do we not control our fan pages, we have to play by Facebook's rules, which is pay to play. So you can bet that as time goes on, we're going to have to pay a higher and higher toll for this access to our own fans. These are our fans. These aren't Facebook fans. And even then, you don't control what happens. It's up to Facebook. So what we find is by using these social platforms, the rules keep changing, and we really don't have control over our own communities, our fans, our super fans. And fans rarely see our posts unless we're paying for them. We can't email them. I can't download the email addresses from Facebook and Twitter, and I can't use that equalizing medium. And we can't customize their experience on these platforms. We have to pay to play, and for me, that's just wrong. So these are our customers or your fans or whatever you want to call them. They're your biggest cheerleaders, your source of donations, your source for feedback. You can try and reach out to them on social media, but they get distracted by what Kim Kardashian or Donald Trump just said. You just don't have their full attention. And that's because today it's extremely noisy. Your customers and fans get distracted and can go elsewhere. And even if they have a strong affiliation with your team, it's tough to hold their attention. And before 1990, when I was growing up, there was only really 8 channels that could grab our attention. Consumers didn't have much of a choice, did they? I mean, it was 8. And now there are literally thousands, if not tens of thousands of ways to get information. And they get distracted pretty easily, especially on their mobile devices. And on those mobile devices, they can get access to any information they want on demand 24/7. So, I've done some research and have talked to a lot of people and talked to fans specifically, and this is how super fans consume your team's content. They're not going to your Facebook page anymore. They're not going to your Twitter profile. They're consuming it on mobile devices in their own personalized feeds controlled by the social networks. Facebook will show between 5 and 10% of your fans the content that you're putting on your Facebook page, unless you're paying for it, of course. And now it's getting even worse, as we mentioned before, because the filters are favoring friends and family. Twitter content, as you probably know, disappears in minutes on most people's feeds. When you got me, who's got tens of thousands of followers, it's disappearing in seconds. Snapchat content, while good, it disappears in 24 hours. So when it comes to engaging your fans on social media, we know these tasks are monumental. We do. We know how challenging it is. You need to hit several platforms with different formatted messages of the same content in order to reach them, right? You don't work the same on Twitter as you do on Snapchat as you do on Facebook. And for me, worse, you can't email all of them. You can try and pull them, but again, you can't reach them all. You can try to get them to buy tickets, but it's frowned upon on a lot of these social networks. It's just not the norm. And even if you do get them, even if you have that message that you want to put out there about buying tickets, you'll have to pay for that. And then go ahead and try and raise money for the team. That's a monumental task on most of these platforms you don't control. They're just not set up for that. So it feels like we're investing hundreds of thousands and sometimes millions of dollars, depending on if you're a pro team, and I know most of the people here represent college teams. And you're investing these on social platforms and advertising to reach our fans and super fans. And so, my question is, why are we investing in someone else's platform that might change tomorrow to reach the fans, our fans, that we've created through our sports programs? Doesn't make sense to me. I think it's because we all have these social channels, but old ways of thinking. We're lost in that pre-social media world when I grew up, because that's where a lot of the decision makers' minds are still thinking of this stuff. And I always think it's because we have built up these social networks to big numbers, and we want to keep this plate spinning. I do. I keep investing in these social platforms. There is definitely a use for them. But I feel like I'm keeping these plates going. I'm keeping them going, and I'm thinking Facebook's changing the rules, Twitter's changing the rules, and I don't really have a place for my fans to kind of go so that we can nurture them and just be in a closed environment that nobody else has control of but me. So I'm going to show you this real quick as an example of what the herd mentality is. All right, so this is, of course, Pokemon Go. I did this just to kind of represent the herd mentality to all these social networks, and this happened because a Squirtle, I think they call it, appeared in a corner of downtown Park in Bellevue, Washington, and hundreds of Pokemon fans rushed to catch it. But, Pokemon controls all these fans, and there's really no place for that herd to go. So we can follow the herd, which is fine, but we can direct the herd to something that we have more control over, too. That's possible. All the activity, all the work, all the time and effort that we've spent creating great content is wonderful, but at the end of the day, your fans still belong to Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, if you want to, maybe Pokemon, probably not in sports yet. Just, insert the name of a social media network for that matter. And like I said, before they can change, and they could change the rules at any time. You don't control it. So what is the solution? I spent a lot of time beating up on what's going on. How can we create that place that we control and that we can communicate directly with our fans and alumni without the constraints of a third-party intermediary? So we need to look at it differently. We need to take what's worked in the past, back when I was in school, and the activities that we did offline, and add it to what's working now and what we believe is going to work in the future. So according to a recent Oracle Sports project that they did, yes, the database company in Silicon Valley, they surveyed over 3,500 fans, and only 14% were part of a sports team loyalty program. I think you agree that's probably a big miss. I mean, these are the loyal fans of these teams, and only 14% were even participating in anything the team was doing related to loyalty. So I'm going to share some truth. And, this is my truth. It may not be your truth yet, but it's the truth that I know. What I've seen by using gamified branded communities, the top three, and we'll get into what these gamified communities are, but the top three being the ability to generate digital word of mouth, or getting the community to get their friends to act on something. These are the fans, the friends of the fans. Awareness. This is building social buzz and bringing attention to a cause, a product, a brand, even a team or game. And advocacy, and that's empowering fans to work on your behalf. So I want to introduce you to a company called Influitive. They are a company born from marketing automation and lead generation. This is what they all did prior to creating this particular community. The founders have roots in sports marketing. They were doing marketing automation for sports with that previous company. And that company they built and sold. They've now created an online community platform for all types of organizations, including sports teams and colleges. It just doesn't have to be a college sport team. It could be the entire college. In this community, which is completely controlled by you, you set up the challenges for your fans to earn points and work on your behalf. You're not having to go through a third-party intermediary to control what's going on. So let me give you a recent example. We ran a campaign on Twitter and Facebook asking for money to an Indiegogo page, and we raised $2,100. Now that's not bad, right? They had a huge fan base on Twitter and Facebook. But when we posted it to the community of only 125 people and asked to refer a friend or donate themselves or promote it on social media, we were able to track $25,000 in revenue. That's a major difference with only 125 super fans. There's unlimited potential here, from raising funds from alumni. You could translate this into raising funds from alumni to asking fans to support new equipment that you might need. Let me give you another example. We needed to drive attendance to a fitness challenge. Using the community, the same community, they helped drive 2,500 people to sign up to get leaner. This is obviously a fitness community. With a college sports community, you can do the same thing for offline events, online events, attendance at a less visible sport. Maybe you have a sport that's you can't get a lot of people to and you want to get people to. Basically any event that you want, online or off. So a little bit more about Influitive. I'm going to introduce you to them very slowly. First of all, Influitive is a secure platform, and it's online, completely online, and it's automatically available on mobile devices. You want to connect with fans on mobile, this is the platform to do it. These gamified communities work because they tap into the fan psychology of wanting to support a team they love, plus earn rewards and team badges, plus compete to be the ultimate fan, right? There's a leaderboard that are measuring these fans. There are, of course, a lot more factors, but from what we found, these are the primary factors. I mean, these three things. There's a great dissertation that was created called Understanding Loyalty and Motivation of Professional Sports Fans. It was done by Victoria Wilkins at the University of Nevada. In it, Wilkins kind of discusses 5 levels of fandom: awareness, affiliation with the team, nurturing and bonding, long-term commitment to the team, unwavering bond with the team. These are different levels of fan as they go through this continuum. And we've been experimenting with moving fans along this continuum through a community, and we know it works. So I want you to think about this. What if you built a branded team community that you control and that has all of the features built into it that keeps your fan base engaged and advocating on your behalf? Because you're delivering such great value to them on a regular basis. I mean, this is something, if we had, I think we could all agree, would be phenomenal to our team. And the first step is pretty easy for college and much more difficult for some of the other organizations we work with that might have a commodity as a product. So in our experience, recruiting your top fan base is a breeze. You probably already know who they are. But putting something out like this that's kind of a red rope community where you're inviting your fans and super fans is pretty easy from what we found. And you do it through social networks and you do it through any email that you have already. And then you create challenges that align with your objectives. I mean, here are 2 that most teams want. Increase ticket sales by referring a friend or a discount on group tickets. That's one. Maybe a fun one is Coach's Corner. Get to know the coach of the teams or get to know a new player, for example. And when these challenges are completed, when the fan decides to do that challenge in the community, fans earn points. They earn badges and later can redeem those points for prizes, and they can post those badges to their profiles. So, and they're automatically posted to their profile in the community. So think skee ball meets the Boys and Girl Scouts. The more points you get, the better the prizes, and you can set up special activities to earn team badges. And fans compete on a very visible leaderboard, so they're competing amongst themselves. You can imagine with a community of 4,000 or 5,000 people how fun that can be. And you could set up different types of leaderboards. It doesn't have to be the same leaderboard. So this is, for us, a win-win-win, and I think you'll agree. The superfan wins because they feel special and like they are part of the team. And what they do when they feel special? They post about it everywhere. They brag. They cheerlead for the team. They get everyone else around them excited. You know who these people are. The athletic department wins because they now have a built-in marketing and sales force of several thousand if you've built up a community to be that big, which isn't that hard with college sports. You just went from a handful in your marketing department, if you're lucky, to several thousands. So when one of your teams needs to be more supported, maybe they're in a losing season, maybe they just haven't had a fan base before, you can count on the loyalty of your super fans to pull through for you and contribute again and again and again. We've seen this time and time again. And this lasts far into the future. Even when they get out of college and they're alumnus, they'll do the same thing for you. And the school wins finally because they've made it very easy to fundraise from the alumni. How, you ask? Well, let's go back to the Sculpt example. This is the company that raised a bunch of money on Indiegogo. The community helped them raise $500,000, $25,000 directly attributed, but they were promoting this all over the place as part of their Indiegogo fundraising drive. So that's pretty amazing. But you could do the same thing with your alumni. Maybe it's donate $1,000 and get to be on the sidelines for the next big game. This is, the same concept on Indiegogo and on Kickstarter work in this environment. It's pretty easy to set up. I mean, within minutes. You just have to come up with the right challenge to get the alumni to act. So let me give you another example. Let's say I need to build buzz and momentum for the next big game. I can quickly rally people offline and get them to post online around a trending hashtag just by issuing these challenges. And they get points, remember, and they can, like skee ball, they can trade these points in for prizes later. So with just 5,000 people in your community, you can get things to trend on Twitter. I mean, assuming they all are on Twitter, but you know what I mean. If you get that many people in a community and the majority of them are very active, imagine what you could do on all those social networks that you're using now that you don't control. So let me give you another example. Maybe I want to encourage in-game participation. You can do that through mobile because Influitive is mobile and your community will automatically be mobile. And here's an example. I mean, you put out a fan of the game, ask them to take a picture of them at the stadium, and you award the fan with the best picture. I mean, that's an example with additional points. And maybe it's the off season and you want to maintain the momentum. You can create authentic, honest stories about your team and new players by issuing these challenges for them to watch this particular video on, in my example here, meet Jane Seymour. She's a basketball player. So you could build up these players and you can pre-sell tickets because they get to know the players on the team before the season even starts. You can also do contests and quizzes, and it keeps the alumni, it keeps the student body engaged because they're maintaining nostalgia and school pride, and they're learning about these teams as they're taking these challenges. So for me, I know what our community managers here do at Fanatics. They get to know their fans almost better than their friends know about their sports affiliation, because you can send them notes on their birthday. This can be automated too. You'll have discussions with them. They'll have discussions amongst themselves, and they'll do the promoting and selling for you as a result. So again, you have that extended marketing team. And best of all, you make the rules. You control it. You create the challenges, and it's only limited to your imagination. You decide who's in, who's out. It's not some faceless entity that's dictating what rules are going to change or what you can and can't do, and they're certainly not going to charge you to access each of the challenges that you put out or each of the communications that you want to put out to everybody in the community. And best of all, and I've said this a couple times, if you have a mobile strategy, this fits right in. And if you don't, then here's a very easy method to get started. Connect with your fans on mobile devices and get them to act on your behalf and maintain that communication channel that's not being interrupted by Kim Kardashian or Donald Trump for that matter. And then right before, I'm going to show you a little bit of a demo, or David is, but I do want to spend a little bit of time talking about analytics. Because Influitive monitors everything, you could see the fan continuum that we showed you before. You could see the progression of fans into super fans. You could see how your fans react to challenges and monitor the overall health of the community from month to month, week to week, so on and so forth. It's kind of like watching game tape. I'm a coach myself, and I'm a crazy coach. I kids play football, and I watch them on tape, and I go back and review what's happened, and then I go out in the field and I test and I adjust, and I become a better coach because of that. And you can do that within this community. Obviously, it's not the same thing. You're not watching them complete challenges in real time, but you are watching the results of that, and you are able to test assumptions that you might have in this community. So great analytics package to watch everything that's being done. So David, at this point, I'd like to turn this over to you for a few minutes to kind of walk people through the live version of the community so they get a better taste for what we're offering.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
So,
yep, I'm going to switch over to you. Okay. Change. David. Here you go.
Cool. You guys seeing me?
Yep, we see you.
Awesome. All right. So I think just before I launch into the live demo, I think one of the powerful things that, Mark, you touched on was one of the power of the community and getting any one of those use case examples to be completed by your advocates is the fact that there are so many different types of use cases in any one environment. So whether it's the alumni fundraising or coming to an event or even just sharing a story of how coming to a sports team or coming to a sports event helped influence or change your life, it's the fact that there are a myriad of different opportunities for your fans to engage is what keeps folks coming back. There's something that's specific for them, and it's not just simply one major ask at one major time. And I'll take you through what that looks like. So this is the Acme Star. So you can imagine any of your star communities and your branded communities for your sports team. And when your fans start to come into the environment, they'll start to find some challenges that are relevant to them. It could be to refer a new fan or refer a new alumni donor that they should be talking to, and it aligns right to your social network, so you never have the community to make a referral that's valuable to the school or to the team. You can also be a reference for someone who is thinking about either applying to the school, becoming a corporate sponsor, becoming a suite or season ticket holder. Nothing's more powerful than hearing from someone who's already experienced your sports atmosphere or your school atmosphere in a real life setting, rather than having to speak to another salesperson. So you can provide a reference right here, right in the community. And as a marketer and as a sports marketer, you'll now have a surefire list of all the people within your branded community that are prepared to act as a reference going down the line. As you complete these challenges, as Mark said, you now start to climb up the leaderboard. And you'd be surprised just how competitive folks get with other people. And actually in sports communities, you probably wouldn't be surprised, because this is an opportunity to compete with your friends, compete with other fanatics of a particular team, and really just see yourself and how you're competing with others. You also have the ability to connect your advocates with one another. One of the great things about being a fan of a sports team or a member of a higher ed alumni association is the fact that you have that built-in affinity and you're willing to help and spend time with each other. This is an opportunity for you to actually put those people in touch, and that's a huge value that you're not going to be able to do directly within Twitter or Snapchat, and starts to add to the value of having this branded community. One of the other things that are really important for branded communities is the ability to share content. So here you'll see an opportunity that this community has created to read and share a great link. So not only are you having your super fans getting content that they love and having them come back for more and more, but you're able to tap into their social networks by having them share directly on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter without ever having to leave the community. Again, this is an opportunity for them to get rewarded with points, and points they can start turning into rewards. And rewards can be anything from the standard swag, but I think in a sports community, you guys have the power to come up with some really interesting things. It could be from throwback jerseys to great tickets to things that money can't buy. So meeting the coach, coming out to a field day, getting on a call with your favorite player, all these things that start to bring folks that are in the community closer and feeling part of the team. And we start to build in that affinity. It's amazing the types of things that these fans will do to you, or will do for you. And so we have our own reward integration to make it super easy to automatically fulfill reward requests. And then communities can also start to load in their own custom events, whether it's rewards, whether it's experiences, custom swag, or other things that that your advocates are absolutely going to love. Another interesting thing is, similar to a Facebook or LinkedIn feed, you can start to see what other people are doing in the hub if you start to look at the feed area. So actually the best thing to look at would be probably discussions. So you can actually have all of your advocates, all of your super fans talking to each other. So it's not just you sending out all the different messages that you want other folks to download and read, but you can create an environment where your fans are talking to each other. So thinking about where's the best place to watch the game. If you happen to be a sports fan living in another city that's not the place that you grew up in, you can find other fans and start to find places to watch the game. So from Toronto, we're one of the most tortured sports cities on the planet. But when we go to the States or elsewhere, there's that built-in, hometown spirit, and you'll see lots of Jays hats at ball games down the road. So you can actually find other people to go watch the game with, where the best bar to watch the game, talk directly to players or people on the team. So it's a way to have a one-to-one and a one-to-many and a many-to-many experience for your advocates. Mark touched on the fact that the analytics are one of the most powerful things that you can be equipped with in this community, and I think that's exactly right. So unlike some of the other platforms that can be hard to determine, what's exactly happening within this community, by having an Influitive branded community, you're able just to see how many new advocates are joining the fold. What are they doing on social? So you'll see here social and sharing, commentating. You can understand what the reach looks like. Getting a sense of the diversity of topics created within your community. And also seeing how many of these topics are actually being replied to. So it's great that people are putting out messages, but are they actually responding, and are they creating buzz? You also get a chance to see what each advocate is actually responding to. So if I want to find out about Megan, I simply click on her and I start to figure out, okay, this is her job title, here's her LinkedIn information, and I can start to see all the different types of challenges that they've created over the course of their time in this community. It gives you that ability to truly understand what motivates each person within your fan base, which is hugely powerful when you want to motivate them to take action, whether it's as a donor, as a season ticket holder, as someone who can refer new fans to your fan base. Really understanding your advocates and your fans is absolutely critical. So we power that as well. So you can go see what types of challenges they've downloaded, the types of rewards that they've looked at, the types of groups that they're members of. And so within your fan base, you can actually create multiple groups. So if you have fans from different cities, if you have multiple affiliates within your sports organization, so the major league team, the minor league team, you can actually target challenges specifically to those types of groups. So you're not just blasting the same message to everyone, but you're able to have a personalized branded community at scale. You're also able to see the specific feedback that they're responding to you with. So really powerful stuff from an understanding aspect. The other thing that you can do, and I'll just go back to the advocate view for a moment, is you can create experiences for your hubs. So if you have something special coming up, say March Madness, you can create a collection of challenges just around March Madness or just around the World Cup. So when you get in, all the types of challenges you're going to find are specific to an event, and you can get your advocates or your fans competing specifically on one area. So one of the things that we've seen really popular over the last month or so are branded communities creating Olympic-style experiences. And you can create those around, really, there's an unlimited spectrum to what you can create, whether it's off-season, draft day, playoffs. You can create experiences that are specifically just on an area that you want your fans to be participating in. And because of the admin view, you're able to capture exactly what people are doing in a specific experience. So VIP Backstage was a collection of challenges just related to our super fans getting deep access into specific things about our product. And so you're going to be able to learn about actual advocates participating in specific, almost campaigns that you can create, also giving you just an absolute deeper understanding of your fans and what drives them. I think the last thing that I'll show you is when you get referred a new prospect who could be a donor, who could be a potential corporate sponsor, you're able to track what's actually happened with that reference. Has someone actually talked to them? Are they still in the evaluating stage? Perhaps they didn't work out. So you can actually, instead of spending more time hitting up the same person, making sure that they're no longer the person that you're talking to and spending your time on the most valuable actors in this space. So I think, without going too much deeper, the fact is this gives you personalization at scale. And as a fan, what more can you want to feel that you're truly special? You've been given that red rope experience and absolutely a part of the team. And we feel at Influitive, and I know Mark shares that this is absolutely the future in the digital and on and offline fan experience. And we're excited to bring that to more teams and more schools going forward.
Well, thanks, David. That was great. I hadn't seen some of those things before for some reason, especially around that last thing that you showed us. That's fantastic. So, we're going to close here. I have a few things I like to talk about. Some of the things that we hear, the challenges. Our budget can't support this. We don't know if this will produce results, is something that I hear a lot, and I get it because, it's new. Especially for sports communities. Not so much. It's not that new for organizations and companies that are out there that don't have as passionate fans that you guys have. But our clients, the reality is our clients tell us their number one or number two most effective marketing solution, and by far less money than you're spending on social media platforms that you don't control. The other thing that we hear a lot is we can't take yet another social platform on, and the reality is you don't have to. We could take it on for you at Fanatics and then turn it over to you and just to show you the amazing results. You can also test it with us. We have a community that's set up that we'll send you a link to called Fandemonium. It's a sports community that you can test and try. We will even let you try some kind of a social promotion or event if you want. You just have to ask. So I'm going to say in closing, I guess the question is, do you want to continue to invest in other social platforms that you don't control and act as a barrier to you and to your fans? And that's just today. Just wait till tomorrow. It's going to get worse. You're going to be paying to play. Trust me. Or are you going to try to, decide to try out a new, more innovative model that gives you complete control? And I'll leave you with that. It's up to you. And I think you'll see the answer becomes clearer and clearer in the next couple of years. And I want to thank David for participating, and then I want to thank everyone that was on the line here. And if you want to see the recording, we do upload it to our channel at youtube.com/Fanatics Media. In fact, almost every day we're putting out some piece of marketing-related content, and a lot of it's related to sports as well. So again, thanks, David, and we'll talk to all of you soon.